I'm a student at BSU. I am the president of the One campaign on campus, and we strive on ways to end poverty around the world. The One campaign's main focus is on Africa, but coming from a school that is located in one of the most impoverished counties in Minnesota, we realize that it's a local issue too. So I was just hoping to talk to Senator Al Franken about what he's going to do to help end poverty on the local level. It's a difficult thing and that's a very difficult question. I guess just like boosting the education on it. I think that a lot of people come to BSU and they have no idea that they are in one of the most impoverished counties in Minnesota. So I think getting the campus involved, which we are aiming to do, is really important. Homeless shelters, food, food shelves. So the One Campus Challenge, we participate in 3 challenges per semester. The first challenge dealt with getting people to vote, registering voters, and just kind of educating our peers as to what's happening in the political world, I guess. We also did a lot of these one vote postcards where it dealt with different issues like agriculture, military, on the international level, and we're going to send them to local and national candidates to see what they're going to do to help. Ending poverty is on the student agenda, and that we want it to be on their agenda as well. It's called 28 Days to Thrive. So we are doing a lot of advocacy for the Sweet Potato Project that's taking place in Africa right now. Next week we are going to host something at Bridges Cross. We are going to co-host open mic night, and that's going to be a food drive. So we're going to take all of the food that we gather from the community and the students to the food shelf to help that way. So it's little things like that, and we table in the union on campus all the time. We register people to vote. We register people on our petition. The most recent petition is to help stop 25 million children dying from malnutrition by 2016. So it's once again just educating our world leaders, trying to get them to realize that it's really important to students. Hi, I'm Rachel. Being students in one of the most impoverished counties in Minnesota, we realize that it's a very important local and domestic issue as well. So as an organization, we compete in 3 challenges per semester. We compete against more than 200 schools across the nation. Right now we're ranked number 5. So this is Bemidji's first year, and we're doing pretty great on that scale. So basically what we're doing is we're just asking local and national candidates what they're going to do if they are elected to help end poverty.
And we start that with a good educational system, and we need to keep our educational system as good as we can. And in order to do anything for anybody, we have to basically balance the budget of the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're showing up next year with a $900 million deficit over the next 2 years.
Yep.
And that's a big.
President of the One Campus Challenge on campus.
Yes.
Have you heard of the One campaign? Are you familiar with it? It's
Yes.
Okay.
Bono.
So what we do is we advocate around campus and around the community level because we live in one of the most impoverished counties in Minnesota. So basically, I'm just asking you, what are you going to do if elected to put an end to local poverty?
I of course am fighting all the time in the Senate against those who want to cut funding for, whether it's child care development block grants or any of those kind of Medicaid. I fought for the Affordable Care Act so that everyone would be able to get insurance. So I'm just going to keep fighting those fights. That's what I fight.
Well, that's all we ask. That's all we ask. But Ken, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yes, of course. Okay.
Good job.
Thanks, John. So anyway, if you see all the people along here, I'm Senator Tom Saxog. We're looking for a great congressman and Rick Nolan. I'm Colin Peterson. We've got Rob Stroy in District 2, and I'm sure you all support him too. I know you want to hear from the senator, so I just want to put it this way: how many of you realize that the state of Minnesota is funding education right now at the same level it did in 1998? Well, some of you do know that. And the reason being, of course, is that in 1998, 60% of education financing for higher education in Minnesota was taken up by the state of Minnesota. 40% was tuition. This year, 40% is financed by the state of Minnesota, 60% by tuition. That's how we did it. That's how we were able to pull this off. Can you believe it? It's terrible. And this past year, we cut higher education by 15%. There isn't anybody here that voted for that, but that's what happened in effect down at the state of Minnesota with a Republican-controlled majority in the Minnesota legislature. On the federal level, well, we've got some similar problems, but I want you guys to hear from our hero here. As I said, 4 years ago over at the old gym, Al stumbled in. He'd been working 48. How long had you gone without sleep, Al? It had to be about 3 days in a row. I mean, we were right at the end. And
I always made sure to get a few hours of sleep so I didn't make a terrible mistake.
no, and you did. And you did.
You gotta get some sleep.
And you did. And 4 years ago, the band that greeted him was Trampled by Turtles.
Yeah.
We got a few CDs over there. If you haven't signed up, go ahead and sign up. But it was a thrill. It's always been a thrill to have Al around. He does a great job, and he's done a great job in the U.S. Senate. Our U.S. Senator, Senator Al Franken.
I don't think I've ever seen him at an event where Trampled by Turtles doesn't come up. I don't think so, and they are great. But Tom is a really good friend, and John Purcell and I just had dinner, and we were discussing a matter about testing fish in Cass Lake before the EPA. They get some funding to do that because they've got toxins in them like carcinogens, and you can't eat the whitefish in Cass Lake. And what bay is it?
Pike Bay.
Pike Bay. And they're a traditional fish for Leech Lake Reservation, and you can't eat them. They're inedible. So, or at least they were when they last tested them. So this is so important that you're here tonight. Obviously, we're going to watch the debate. I actually am going to leave right before the debate so I can watch it in my room at the hotel. And yell at the TV? No, I'm going to be cheering at the TV. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway, I have the feeling the president will step up and answer Romney on this one. The president has said some great things about some stuff Romney said even like before the debate on the 47%. He said one of the best things about the 47%. The president said that if Mitt Romney thinks that 47% of the American people, people who don't pay income taxes, by the way, they aren't the same 47% every year. There are people who have better years and they pay, just like corporations somehow tend not to pay any taxes certain years and then pay other years. So people who have gotten the earned income tax credit so they haven't paid income taxes have paid hundreds of billions of dollars in income taxes. When they get back on their feet, that's the way it works. But anyway, so the thing that Obama said was, if Mitt Romney thinks 47% of the American people don't take responsibility for their lives and see themselves as victims, he ought to get out more. And let me tell you what's so great about my job is I get out a lot. I'm in a coat and tie because I had a lot of meetings today around the state, and some called for a coat and tie. And so my wife says, "You're wearing a coat and tie. You're wearing a suit." I'm used to it. I used to be, many of you know, I used to be a comedy writer. A comedy writer uniform are jeans and a t-shirt. I wish we could do that. But what a privilege it is to go around the state. Minnesota is an amazing state. We're #1 in the country in healthcare, according to HHS. Again, this year. If the rest of the country did healthcare like we do in Minnesota, we'd save 30% on our healthcare. Because we do high quality healthcare, low cost healthcare in this state. In fact, let me tell you what the state legislature means. I took a provision, a law, in Minnesota we had a law, we passed it in 1993, that insurance companies have to compute and produce their medical loss ratio. The medical loss ratio is the percentage of premiums that insurance companies, health insurance companies, use to pay for actual health care. Not marketing, not administration, not profits, not CEO salaries, actual health care. And so we've had for 18 years or so, 19 years, we've been producing, the insurance companies in the state of Minnesota are producing their medical loss ratio. Well, while we were writing the Affordable Care Act, I said, let's take this, say that companies providing health care for an individual and for small groups have to have an 80%, at least an 80% medical loss ratio. And for large groups, 85%. And if they don't meet it, they have to rebate the money back to the people up or policy, hold their policies. Well, that's part of the law. And I remember during this discussion on this, they went like, well, can insurance companies reliably compute their medical loss? Yes, we've been doing it in Minnesota for 18 years. Ha ha ha. And guess what? This year, it went into effect, and this year, 13 million Americans benefited from rebates. Over $1 billion, $1.1 billion. And it would have been more last year. The GAO computed what it would have been last year. It would have been over $2 billion. But insurance companies actually lowered their premiums from what they otherwise would have been to meet their medical loss ratio. This is saving money. And it's a provision I put in because of the Minnesota State Legislature. So it is absolutely crucial. It is absolutely crucial that we re-elect Tom and John and we send Roger down there, because we need for our governor to have a state legislature that he can work with.
Yes.
That is so vital. We've seen it from what we've seen from this Republican state legislature.
Roll the bums out.
I respect them very much. But we have these two pernicious amendments. Look, Franny and I have been married for 37 years, many of them happy. And I would not want to deny that to anybody. This should not be in our Constitution. We should not write discrimination into our Constitution. The voter ID, the voter suppression amendment, is not a solution in search of a problem. It's a solution in search of creating a problem. There has not been a case of voter impersonation fraud in this state. The whole point of this, amendment is to suppress votes.
Yep.
Is to suppress the votes of tens of thousands, 200,000 people don't have IDs. Tell me. When I said that Mitt Romney should get out more, that's what the president said. 20% of the 47%, 20%, so roughly 10% of those Americans who don't pay income taxes are seniors on Social Security. He should get out more, and I get out. So I go to senior centers, and I go to nursing homes, and I'll talk to a World War II vet. Maybe a vet who went on Omaha Beach on D-Day and fought his way across Europe to take down Hitler. And now he's 88 years old. And 2 or 3 years ago, my kids told me I shouldn't drive anymore. Grandpa, you're not just endangering other people, but yourself too. Don't drive. So I said, yeah, you're right. So he doesn't have a driver's license. And maybe he doesn't have his birth certificate and doesn't know where it is. Are you telling me that a guy that brought down Hitler, that put his life on the line every day for us, who's been voting and voting at the same place every year since 1946, that he shouldn't vote? That people are disabled and can't get out of the house shouldn't have a right to vote? Now, we're here to watch the debate, but after the debate, I'm going to go to do whatever you do and then go to sleep. I don't know, that came out wrong. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go to work. I need you to make